All right, so our layer of resin is completely dry. So now I'm going to mix or create a mixture of the Paynes Grey plus the white. I want it to be just a little bit darker than the background right about here. So I'm going to use a palette knife to mix it, simply because otherwise all that paint's going to be sitting in a brush and get washed out in the water. So there's no point in wasting it. There we go. And I've got a small round brush here. Let's wet it a little bit so the paint flows a little bit better. Get a piece of paper towel. And the trees that I'm painting are in the distance, so that's why I'm using my smaller brush here. And I'm using a rounded one so that I can also use it for doing branches and stuff like that. So when I do a branch, I want to start with the trunk and then slowly move it out while lifting my brush so that it gets thinner and thinner. And they don't have to be too detailed because, like I said, they're in the distance, so you don't have to get a lot of detail on them. Just nice to get some branches on them rather than just having sticks basically sitting in your forest or in your scene. And like I said, with the branches, same goes with the trunk of the tree. As you go towards the top of your piece, just lift your brush up to thin out and make the trunk a little bit thinner. And because we're going to be doing several different layers, you're not necessarily going to see all the detail that you're going to be putting here. Some of it's going to be covered by future trees, but you don't know exactly what is going to be covered and what's not, so you definitely still want to have some detail in there. Let's get another branch coming up here. And the nice thing with having the resin surface is if you do something that you really don't like, you could take like a Q-tip and lift it off. So it's just a little bit forgiving that way. And I think this one's going to be a little bit smaller. Just, you don't want all of your trees to be exactly the same size. You also don't want all of your branches to be coming off at the same level on your piece. You want to vary it. And also make sure that each tree looks a little bit different from the other ones. Have some branches crossing over others. Do another one, and also don't make sure they're not spaced out exactly the same throughout your whole canvas, because that looks a little bit wrong as well. You can do some that are slanted over if you like, Some that have been blown by the wind. All right, I'm going to do one more on each side. And like I said, some of these might actually be covered by the layers in front, but that's okay. You'll still see bits of it. You'll see some of the branches coming out from behind. So you definitely want to make sure that you like the look of it before you stop, because if you stop and there's something that you don't necessarily like about it, you may be able to cover it up with a future layer, or you may not. And the neat thing with the resin between each of the layers is it's going to add some dimension to it. The lightness of your paint is also going to add the dimension, or the lightness and the darkness between the layers. But because we have the resin between there, that's also going to add some dimension to it, which is going to enhance the look of it. And your trunks don't necessarily have to be completely straight. Like they can be a little bit wavy, a little bit wonky. Sometimes as I'm pulling my brush up, I like to twist it a little bit. Another one up here. And they don't all have to be long branches coming out. Some can be small, short ones. And also different angles coming out. All right, I think I like the look of that. So I have a fan brush here, and I'm going to take that. And I'm just going to add some little bushes, little shrubbery. So you can do it with a fan brush. I also have a filbert brush. Oh, here it is. That I also like to use for it. This one tends to be a little bit stiffer. So you can be a little bit more aggressive with it. You see that little bump that we had from the first layer is all gone now because we've covered it up. And it doesn't need to go all the way to the floor because we're going to be putting other layers on top of it, but I do want to make sure to get some shrubbery in the background there. That path there was a little bit too dark. I just lightened it up. All right, I'm going to leave it like that.